bride and groom here yet?
No, but they should be here any minute.
You've redecorated. Well, it must have cost a fortune.
Oh, I just put on a few new slip covers, $27.50. We wouldn't want our son-in-law to think we had a shabby home, would we?
Of course not.
That's a new suit.
Well, you wouldn't want our son-in-law to think he had a shabby father-in-law. You know, Edith, it's a weird feeling meeting your son-in-law for the first time, especially when he's a millionaire. Hope they'll stay for a while.
Oh, I imagine they'll just stay a night or two and then be off to honeymoon in Europe or somewhere. In her letter, she said the world was her oyster. Oh, I just happen to have it here.
Well, let's hear it.
Wait till you meet Howie. He's been around the world 3 times. He's very modest, but one night he let it slip that his boat was the largest in the Mediterranean.
That makes it bigger than a Narcissus.
This will interest Daddy. Howie's a mathematical genius. He charts the stock market, and he's never wrong.
What if he'll bring his own ticker tape?
He's on the golf course every day and shoots in the low 60s. What do you shoot, dear?
Keep reading.
Howie is the richest man I've ever known.
That's the part. Go on.
And the most generous. I never dreamed I would ever have so much.
Edith, we mustn't let Howie go to our heads.
What do you mean, dear?
Well, I suppose a man like Howie will have made plans for us. But we mustn't let him, no, sir. We're going to continue to live the same simple life we've always lived.
What's that?
Imported champagne.
The same simple life we've always led.
We're not going to accept a thing from Howie.
Not even a little red convertible?
Absolutely not.
What if he invites us for a cruise on his yacht?
Well, we don't want to be unfriendly. That must be them.
Oh, gosh. Oh.
Here's the bride,
Oh,
Barbara.
my baby.
Mother.
Oh, darling.
Hi, Barbara. You don't look any different. Everybody, this is Howie.
Mr. Dickerson.
Hello, Dad. Mom!
Oh, Howie.
And you're Sally. Why, you're even prettier than Barbara said.
You should be in a red convertible.
That'll be $3.80. Oh, I don't think I have it.
None of you fellows ever carry money, do you? Here you are. Keep the change.
Thank you.
Oh, well, let's get this stuff out of here.
Oh, don't touch that. I'll carry it myself.
The house looks lovely. Oh, Mother.
Well, I decided if I couldn't be at my own daughter's wedding, at least I wasn't going to be cheated out of a wedding cake.
I want you to come down to the office and have lunch with me. I want everyone to meet you.
Oh, I'd love to, Mr. Sims.
Walter or Dad. Well, I think it's time for a wedding toast. All right, Barbara. Here's Howie's.
Thank you, Dad.
Here's yours, honey. Edith.
Dear.
And one for Dad. A toast to the bride and groom. Wherever you may be, whatever remote corners of the world you may find yourselves in, may happiness and joy be with you always.
Thanks, Dad. Traldika Marav Salantikan.
What's that?
It's an old Yucardi tribal toast. May there always be many fingers in your pot. I guess it doesn't translate too well.
Howie speaks 12 languages.
Well, my Yucardi's kind of rusty.
Well, I don't imagine too many people on Long Island will notice.
Excellent champagne. Dom Perignon. 1952.
That's right.
Howie's a connoisseur.
Well, it's kind of a hobby with me.
Well, I respect a man who has champagne as a hobby.
Where are you and Howie going from here? That's up to Howie.
Oh, I hadn't thought much about it.
That's the way I like to travel. Free as a bird. Just get on your yacht and sail the 7 seas.
You have a yacht?
He was speaking figuratively.
I love boats.
Barbara told us. Howie, have a cigar.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I have them especially made for me.
Brazilian tobacco.
Yes.
This comes from the mountain region near Gopori.
Well, imagine you knowing my tobacco.
Oh, it has a very distinctive flavor. It's the only Brazilian tobacco that the native Indians still trample with their bare feet. If you're interested in Indian culture, this will fascinate you.
What is it?
It's Xochitl, the Aztec goddess of fertility.
It's beautiful.
Don't touch him.
Howie says it's an absolute guarantee that you'll have children. He'd like an even dozen.
How lovely.
Yes, Edith. Why don't you take Barbara upstairs and help her unpack?
All right, dear. That means they want some man talk. Come on, girls.
Don't be long, my love. My own darling.
Howie? Howie? Make yourself comfortable, son. This is your home.
Well, that certainly is nice of you, Dad. I really appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate your taking the time to visit with us. I know how busy you must be with the stock market and...
Oh, that's just a hobby. Yeah, I chart stocks on paper, but I never gamble.
Oh, what are your primary business interests?
Well, until recently, I've been with a national poll company.
You owned this company.
Oh, no, I was an employee.
That is to say you were on the board of directors.
Boy, that sure would tickle Mr. Melniker.
Mr. Melniker, who's he?
He's the man who fired me last week.
Fired you?
Yeah, I made certain suggestions as to the reorganization of the company that didn't set too well with him. I was a field employee, and I went around making surveys. And for every questionnaire that was filled out, I got 50 cents.
That's another hobby.
That's my living. Early mornings, I caddy. Didn't Barbara tell you?
She mentioned you were on the golf course every day. What does your father do, Howie?
He's a butcher in Eagle Rock, California.
Barbara told us you had the biggest boat on the Mediterranean.
Barbara always gets that wrong. I've told her it's not a boat, it's a ship.
But it's the biggest.
Well, Franklin D. Roosevelt was. Of course, the Navy's built bigger carriers since then.
A carrier. You were an officer in the Navy?
Started out as an officer, ended up as a seaman second class. They were running that ship, and what's the matter, Dad? You look kind of... Here.
Mr. Dickerson, are you employed?
Oh, no, sir, not at present. I've had a lot of jobs, but none of them ever seem to last very long. I find it hard to adjust. I suppose you might call me a nonconformist, sort of a beardless beatnik. Don't you find it difficult to employ the most fruitful years of your life in doing work that's trivial?
Do you have enough money to support my daughter?
No! That's why I was so pleased when Barbara said we could move in here.
Move in here?
Oh, I don't care about material things. I was perfectly happy in San Francisco living at the Y. But I'd like Barbara to have something better, Dad.
Edith.
The whole neighborhood will hear you, and the girls are in Sally's room.
He's a caddy.
I know, dear. Here's 2 aspirin and a glass of water. We misunderstood her letters.
He's a fake, just a fortune hunter.
Honey, if he married Barbara for her money, it should last him until about 6 o'clock.
They're planning to stay here.
Well, just until Howie gets a job that's suitable for him, dear.
And we're in trouble. I think Howie's operating on the 10-year plan. What in the world made Barbara write us that Howie was the richest man she'd ever known?
She wasn't talking about money, dear. She was talking about Howie's love. That's why they're rich.
Oh. To my new son-in-law, the beardless beatnik. Where's Howie?
He's upstairs doing his yoga exercises. He had breakfast hours ago. Dear, why don't you skip your bacon this morning?
Why should I?
We're out of it.
No.
Gotta go now. Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
honey.
dear.
Who did my crossword puzzle?
Howie. He did it in 7 minutes. How long does it take you, Daddy?
Aren't you late for school? Edith, you know I look forward to doing my puzzle on the train every morning.
Well, I'll order an extra paper. Barbara says Howie's an absolute genius.
Well, believe me, Edith, for every genius in the world, there's a non-genius right behind him. Picking up the check. What's that?
Howie playing his oboe. Barbara says he plays it when he's happy.
Edith, I know they can't move out until he gets a job. But can't we go someplace else?
Walter, Howie's so sensitive.
But what am I, some kind of clod? I'll be glad to pay for an apartment for them.
Howie says he isn't going to leave until he can stand on his own 2 feet.
There's something illogical about that. You know something? I bet I've got the only son-in-law on Long Island who plays the oboe at 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, seem to have luck when I play with you, Martha. I hope it hangs on tonight.
Hi. Oh, hi, Barbara. We're going to start rehearsing our string quartet now. I hope it won't disturb you.
You go right ahead, dear.
No, honey, just close the door.
Okay, Daddy.
Now, let's see. What we got here?
All right, folks, I'll open with 1 diamond.
Double.
See, a diamond double up.
Pass.
I pass.
I'll stick with 2 diamonds.
I will bid 2 hearts. No, I'll double 2 diamonds.
Oh, you could be thrown out of any bridge club in the country for bidding like that.
Well, now, see, Edie doubled 2 diamonds, so I don't have to. Okay, I pass.
Oh, this is obviously what is known as informative bidding.
We've been playing with the Wilsons for 12 years. Both girls do it, so it evens things up.
Well, now, look, if I've done anything wrong...
Would you like to cut in after this hand?
Oh, no, thanks. It's more fun watching. I figure out what I do, and then I see what you do.
I got that needle stuck out there? I like Brahms as well as anyone, but that's ridiculous.
Mozart.
Mozart. If you've heard one, you've heard them all.
The cello's playing an improper inversion of a major 7. You go ahead, I'll fix it.
Well, why don't you do that, Howie? Well, if it's any comfort, he's kibitzing the string quartet, too.
Kind of
I liked it better the other way.
Me too. There. I think all the rest are mine.
To my hand, you've got him. Martha, we're down 1.
Well, how'd you do? Down 1?
How did you know, Howie?
Well, you lost it on the first trick. All you had to do was go up Jack of Spades.
Thanks, Howie.
Good night, everybody. Sylvia.
What's the matter with her?
I don't know, Daddy. Howie showed her how to play the passage, and then she got right up and marched out. I guess she's one of those people who can't stand being criticized.
The world's full of people like that.
Oh, hey, please don't leave. I was going to play my oboe for you.
Good night, Leonard Bernstein.
Yes, well, I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
Yes,
Martha,
come
we're
on,
right in the
Martha.
middle of a
Let's not break
rubber.
up the game.
Please,
I have a cough cake.
I have a splitting headache.
Oh, dear.
So that's your son-in-law, the genius.
He's a little eccentric, but he's brilliant. As a matter of fact, I might be able to do a favor for you. Howie mentioned he might be interested in taking a job to get a little practical experience in...
Good night, Walter.
Didn't you say you were looking for someone in your personnel department?
Good night, Walter.
Do it for me as a favor.
Well, what happened? From your description, I expected a combination of Paul Getty and Jack Lemmon.
Well, he turned out to be all lemon. No Jack, just lemon.
Why, you poor devil. All right. All right, Walter, I'll give him a chance. Tell him to be at the office at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
I'll never forget this. Howie, good news. Mr. Wilson has a job for you. Start work tomorrow morning. Isn't that wonderful?
Well, I don't know. What kind of a job is it?
Good night, Walter.
It's in the personnel department of a large publishing firm.
Publishing. I like the idea. Sounds like a real creative challenge.
Our ship's come in, honey. Howie's going to work for Bob.
Well, good night, you two. I'll see you next week at our house. Good
night, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Won't forget this, Bob.
I wonder if you can freeze a coffee cake.
Well, if you wrap it tightly and seal it, you can freeze anything. Did you say something?
No, I was just thinking, Howie.
Well, I better go tell Barbara the good news. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Howie.
Good night.
Howie. Good night. Aw. Try to understand him, dear.
I do. That's what terrifies me.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Oh, hi, dear.
Mr. Bitch came over so early. What happened?
It was cold on account of wind.
Remember? This is Jimmy Keith.
Hello, Jimmy.
And this is my father.
How do you do, sir? What do you do for a living?
Good night, children. Honestly.
Well, I guess I better be going.
What's your hurry? You just got here. You can sit and talk to me for a minute.
Well, sure, if you like.
Don't mind. I forgot my oboe.
Well, what was that?
My new brother-in-law.
Well, how's the movie?
Fine, thank you. Jimmy Keith, Howie Dickinson.
Ah, well, yeah. Well, good night. Hey, you ought to have the lights out. Some music.
What for?
Well, it acts as a stimulant in courtship. Yeah. Why, the Zulu mating customs are probably the most fascinating.
What do they do?
Well, when a Zulu boy and a Zulu girl are attracted to each other, they're put into a grass hut together. And the grass hut is completely blacked out. Now, the village witch doctor stands outside beating out rhythms on a jungle drum. The results would amaze you. Have a pleasant evening.
Jimmy, what are you doing?
Kiss me, baby!
What's going on here?
I'm terribly sorry, sir. I don't know what came over me. My father will kill me!
Howie and his jungle drum. What? Jimmy was a perfectly decent boy until Howie stalked in here in his wild pajamas and started giving Jimmy pointers on Zulu mating customs. If this goes on, I'm going to wind up an old maid.
Listen. Howie's playing the oboe again. Do you know what that means, Walter?
Howie likes it here. I'm filing the petition in surrogate court next week and hope to get the case on the calendar by the end of October. Oh, good morning, J.R.
Morning. Your daughter and son-in-law arrive all right?
Yes.
I'd like to have him lunch with me out the yacht club soon. See my boat? Of course, it's only a 100-footer.
Well, I'll talk to him about it, but how
You
much...
did say that he had one of the largest boats in the Mediterranean, didn't you?
Not exactly.
What?
Ship. I'm always getting mixed up.
By the way, I'm very pleased with the way you've been handling the Hennessy case.
Well, thank you, J.R. Hennessy's the stubbornest man I've ever met. Imagine him trying to hold up a $50 million skyscraper because he didn't want to move his newsstand.
But he's going to.
Oh, yes. Hennessy will be here this morning to sign the releases. I I had to offer him 5 times what the lease is worth, but it's for the benefit of the community.
There'll be a nice bonus in this for you. Maybe a little extra vacation.
Well, he'd just been talking about getting away on a little trip.
You can take a cruise on your son-in-law's ship.
Yes. Who's here? Oh, what does he want? I asked him to have lunch with me.
Hi, Dad.
You've lost your job.
Oh, no. Mr. Wilson says I'm getting along just great.
About lunch. I'm afraid I can't.
I'm in no hurry, Dad. Anytime you're ready.
Yes. They are? I'll be right in. I have to go into the boardroom for a few minutes. I'm afraid I can't offer you anything to read except the law review.
Oh, I've read this issue. Did you read Chief Justice Powell's article on the ambivalence of writs?
Not yet.
Well, read it. He's all wrong.
Is Mr. Sims here?
Oh, he'll be right back.
This is Mr. Hennessy. He has an appointment with Mr. Sims. Is it all right if he waits in here?
Well, certainly. Won't you be seated, sir?
Oh, thank you.
Would you care to glance at this law review?
If it's got anything to do with lawyers, I'm against it. A man works all his life to build up a business, and then some smart lawyer comes along and takes it away from him.
Mr. Sims is a wonderful lawyer. If anybody can help you, he can.
Yeah, he's helping me all right.
Well, I gather somebody's trying to take your business away from you.
45 years I've had my newsstand on one corner, and all my customers are old friends. And now they want to put up a skyscraper and throw me out.
Well, don't you have a lease?
Sure, but what good does it do? I looked it up in the law books. It says they can throw me out for, eminent something or other.
Eminent domain. Mr. Hennessy, Mr. Sims will tell you that eminent domain is invalid in all cases where private rather than the public gain is involved.
Are you sure?
The state of Massachusetts versus Smith. No one can dispossess you unless you're willing.
Well, they are offering me a fairly good price for my lease.
Beside the point, you want to move.
No, I don't. Why, I'd miss all my customers. Then your advice is to...
Hold out, Mr. Hennessy. Don't you sell at any price.
Thank you, young man. You're the most honest lawyer I've ever known.
Well, aren't you going to wait for Mr. Sims?
No. I'm going to take your advice and go right back to my newsstand.
Well, did you have a nice conference, Dad?
Fine, Howie, fine. Mary, when Mr. Hennessy arrives...
Oh, Dad!
When Mr. Hennessy arrives, send him right in. He what? Well, he couldn't have. He hasn't signed the releases.
Well, Mr. Hennessy...
Howie, I'm talking. Well, send someone out to find him quickly.
Dad, if you're looking for Mr. Hennessy, he just went back to his newspaper stand.
You talk to him.
Oh, yes. He wanted to sign those releases, but I knew you wouldn't want him to, so I told him about Massachusetts versus Smith, and he decided to keep his stand.
You talked him out of signing the releases.
Don't thank me. You were in a board meeting, and I wanted to be helpful.
Oh, you have been, Howie. I'll tell you what you've just done. In less than 5 minutes, all by yourself, you've ruined a case I've been working on for a year. And you've cost me my biggest client.
Well, how could I? Massachusetts versus...
I don't care a hang about Massachusetts. I never care about your getting out of here.
But...
Out!
Maybe we ought to have lunch another day. You shouldn't eat when you're excited.
My ulcer! For 10 years it hasn't bothered me, and you brought back my ulcer.
Say, Dad, the juice of the tan bark tree is wonderful for ulcers. South American diet.
Out! Out!
Please take me with you.
They don't allow women on aircraft carriers.
But you can't go back in the Navy, darling. You hated it.
At least they'll make me keep my big mouth shut. I'll send you all my pay. I won't need anything for myself.
But I don't want all your pay. I want you. I love you.
I love you, Barbara. That's why I'm leaving. One of these days you're going to take off that just married sign. Clear the rice away and get a good look at me. Then you'll see what everybody else sees. I don't want to be around when that happens.
But you just haven't found yourself yet.
I found myself, all right. I'm a nobody, Barbara. A cut-rate nobody. Your folks are the first family I've ever had, and they can't stand me. Well, I don't blame them. I can't stand myself. I've been a first-class pain in the neck.
But you've been right.
Being right isn't always important.
Well, what's more important, I'd like to know?
Getting along. I've tried to act like other people, but I just don't know how. Well, I'm not going to stay and make all of you unhappy.
How's your ulcer, dear?
Oh, after today, I'm surprised I'm living.
Here. Dr. Daniels wants you to take this 3 times a day.
What is it?
It's something new from South America, the juice of the tan bark tree.
Daddy, you've got to stop him.
Who?
Howie, he's packing to go back into the Navy.
The Navy? Well, it'll be difficult for you, but we'll help all we can.
But I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about Howie. I watched him packing just now. 6 pictures of me and 1 pair of socks. What's going to become of him?
The Navy will give him socks, honey. No, they will.
The Navy can't give him what he's lost. He doesn't believe in himself anymore. He's just going to shut up and take orders. Well, there's nothing the matter with that except that he won't be using that wonderful mind of his.
Oh, that wonderful mind of his.
We failed him.
We failed him.
Daddy, I know it isn't true, but Howie has the feeling, well, that you resented his living here with us.
Well, I can't imagine where he ever got such an... Well, go tell him it isn't true, Barbara.
Daddy, I've tried to talk to him. He won't listen to me.
Walter, you've got to go up there and tell him he's got to stay here with us.
Me?
She's right.
But what'll I say? I've grown accustomed to your face.
Now, Walter, you'll think of something.
You can be pretty smart when you want to be, Daddy.
Now what?
Oh, here. You sit down here. I'll get it.
Thanks.
Excuse me. Mr. Hoskins.
Evening, Mrs. Sims. Walter,
JR.
I just heard about the Hennessy case.
I can explain it, JR.
Walter, I had to come by and personally congratulate you.
Congratulate me.
How did you find out that the Journal Telegram had a sob sister ready to write a story?
Well, I got a good nose on me. I smelled that right out.
That story about a heartless law firm throwing a poor old news dealer out into the street could have ruined us.
Isn't that funny? I was just telling Edith. It could have ruined us. Oh, it could have ruined us.
Of course, your really brilliant stroke was in sending your son-in-law over to convince Hennessy to move his stand in the new skyscraper.
Howie's a talker.
Oh, yes, that Howie can really talk.
Well, now Hennessy can talk to all his old customers, and everybody's happy. Now you can take that cruise on your son-in-law's boat.
JR, he doesn't have a boat.
Ship, yes. Well, I'd like to have you bring your son-in-law over for dinner some evening soon. My wife will call you.
Fine, JR. We'll look
Good
forward
night,
to
Mr.
that.
Hoskins.
How about that? I'm going to have that talk with Howie. Packing?
I finished, Dad. I'm sorry for all the trouble I've caused you.
Nonsense, Howie. We wouldn't dream of letting you go. We need you more than the Navy does.
You need me?
Of course, even if you are an eccentric. I mean...
That's all right. I'm eccentric.
Well, then I think eccentrics have contributed a great deal to the fields of science and politics and...
Literature, theater, invention, music, poetry, philosophy.
Yes. That's just what... You're the type of irritant that... produces progress in our world.
And havoc in our homes. I'm a pretty sad excuse for a son-in-law.
I wouldn't have anyone else in the world.
Howie, we've never had a son. You're gonna be it.
Do you mean that, Mr. Sims?
Dad.
Dad!
Now you unpack that suitcase.
Barbara.
I'm proud of you. You handled that like a real father.
The boy's got good stuff in him. You know, Edith, I think he really is a genius. And that's almost as nice as having a millionaire in the family. As long as I don't have to live with him. Tomorrow we'll help them find a nice apartment of their own. I am going to be a father of that boy. I'll have him down to the office for lunch, and we can have him here to dinner once a month. Hello. Oh, hi, Bob. What? Bob Wilson's calling to thank me for sending Howie to him. I knew he'd be an asset to the organization. Well, Howie's only been on the job 1 day, and he's come up with a reorganization plan that the board of directors thinks is brilliant.
Oh, that's your son-in-law.
That's my son-in-law. What? What? Hello, Bob. Bob. He hung up on me.
Why?
Howie made up a list of people at the office who could be replaced by machines. Bob Wilson's name was first on the list. And do you whose name Howie put second? His own. He's fired.
Well, then he'll just have to stay here with us until he finds another job.
Oh, that could be years. Howie could be living with us for years. And Edith, he wants babies. He's got that fertility symbol up there. He wants 12 babies. I can see them. All grown up like Howie.
Howie's playing the oboe.
Home, sweet home.